to make the right decisions for not only you, but this community and this board. We ask now that you bless the meeting once again, be with us and keep us in Jesus' name.
Of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're ready.
You need to roll call, please.
Thank you. Commissioner Cole,
Here.
Commissioner Fullwood,
Present.
Commissioner Nelson,
Here.
Vice Chairman Taylor,
Here.
Chairwoman Hill.
Here,
Thank you.
I'd like to recognize Mayor Glenovich in the audience, Julie Roberts, who's leader. We also have Daniel Friedel, who is one of the bidders on our real estate request for proposals. So we have a public comment. We have one request from Mr. Daniel Friedel. Would you like to come to the podium? You may have the parliament.
Oh, sure. Thank you very much. Hope everyone had a great holidays. Good to see all of you for the last month. Figured I'd start with something. Hello, I'm Daniel Friedel, Keller Williams Commercial Real Estate. Keller Williams offers traditional real estate marketing development expertise with potential design build services. It remains my desire to provide varied combinations of real estate brokerage and consulting services throughout marketing, ROI consideration, and contract negotiations on behalf of all commissioners here, and of course, OHPA. Regarding Parcel A, the southeast corner of 3rd and Date, I understand that under and only under the right conditions will OHPA commissioners consider disposition of the 6 underlying lots of record. Those conditions, of course, may never come to fruition. But I believe it's possible to maximize the value of these 6 underlying lots of record, potentially solving complicated problems in our beautiful North Historic residential neighborhood and help all interested parties feel positive about the outcome. Immediately to the west of Parcel A is a warehouse building. Is there less risk to OHPA, to discount the 6 underlying lots of record to a single buyer, or sell a combination of lots to multiple buyers? Experience dictates that financial analysis incorporating time value of money and qualitative analysis of marketability of those remaining parcels will assist in the decision-making process. Some outside of the box considerations. Parcels represent an opportunity to envision options that will appeal to potential homeowners and existing neighborhood residents alike. Maybe host a contest for university architectural students to design building envelopes with master plans that meet zoning codes and complement the North Historic District. This may uncover an inspired, livable residential vision that complements the existing historic district and exceeds current zoning with deed restrictions that will be required by this commission to sell these parcels. Second, move the truck staging area further east on Dage. This would improve living conditions within the existing neighborhood, plus improve sight lines and also marketability of all parcels. A, B, of course, if that eventually comes on the market, and C. Third, parcel C. This is a valuable asset. Can it produce a win-win for this organization, OHPA, and the city of Bernardino Beach? What about temporarily saving the tree canopy by creating a city pocket park, which was proposed from a different commissioner in Bernardino Beach under a lease agreement, not a sale, with Bernardino Beach? Lease for 10 years with termination clauses. Bernardino Beach might reduce the fire and police service annual expenses. I got 5 seconds. Current lawsuit Maybe it can be reduced, maybe it can be dropped. I would like to help OHPA maximize these underlying real estate assets and respect the beautiful qualities of the North Historic Residential Neighborhood. Thank you very much once again, and I look forward to your decisions.
Thank you, Mr. Friedel.
Thank you.
And thank you for attending the meeting tonight. We have on the agenda under regular business, item 7A, approval of the minutes. We'd all like to take them together separately.
Hey, Heather, you gonna take the deal?
I'll take a motion for approving the minutes.
Motion approved.
Is this for both of them or just for one? For both? Okay, so we're approving the November 8th, 2023 monthly meeting minutes, November 6th, 2023 monthly meeting minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next up, board attorney reports.
Thank you, Chair Hill. You can see the attorney report in your packet. Most of the items at the bottom, I think we're going to discuss this evening, so I'll wait until then. The property appraiser case just kind of remains sitting. Everyone in the state is waiting on Florida Supreme Court to decide the Gulf Breeze case. They have not done so yet. For what we all call the pilot paving case, I think you all know the status. I am requesting tonight, I'm requesting that we have a shade meeting on that case, preferably sometime next week. So we can, through the chair, if we can exchange some dates right now to try to set a 1 hour shade meeting. Chair Hill and I have discussed a few, but the possible dates would be the 5th, the 1st or the 5th, possibly the 29th. I don't remember if that works for you or not.
No.
Okay, so the 1st or the 5th, that's a Thursday evening or a Monday evening.
Any preference?
I can't do the first, but I can do the fifth. Well, I can do the first.
Madam Chair, I have to notice that on the newspaper, so I'm going to need a week.
Okay.
So I can notice it all through next week, and so the 5th will be ideal.
Okay. Does the 5th work for everyone? Yeah. Okay. 5, 6, 4, any particular? 5 would be great.
Sounds fine with me.
That would be great.
5 p.m.
That'll be the only item on the agenda. We have to open the public meeting, so there'll be an agenda for the public meeting. We'll announce the shade meeting. We'll go into the executive shade meeting. Just like last time, come back out, close the public meeting, but as of right now, there won't be anything else on the agenda. And I will also reach out to each of you individually to brief you on what we'll be discussing.
Any questions about that, Patrick? No. Did you have anything else?
Not unless there's any other questions.
Okay, I did have one item. Rosanna gave me invoices for December, and I had asked her to look back to our discussions and emails. And my recollection was that you were going to entertain and discuss fees moving forward if we were able to remain current.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have asked her to go back and look, and I only just saw the invoices tonight, so I wasn't aware that we weren't carrying that forward. It might have just been my misunderstanding,
Okay.
but I wanted to raise that issue for the board because I think that discount is really meaningful. Really appreciate that discount. You give great services. You don't discount the quality. I appreciate that. But you know our budget situation, so every little bit counts. All right, the next item up is the quarter calendar report. Pierre, you're up.
So in your package is the financial report for December. So obviously in December, we did pay all the outstanding fees with the discount that had been negotiated. the discount that had been negotiated. All right, so yeah, but, with the discount that had been negotiated, so we're also following all the legal fees. And now continuing forward, should be in a good position. I will certainly keep posted if we get ourselves in trouble again. And other than that, there's nothing unusual on the report. Obviously, we continue to pay the executive director salaries that will be through people or something. So, is nothing unusual. And so that's obviously, and then you have we continue to report the customer's house every day with just the electric and water bills, then obviously the balance in the accounts. So that's the financial report. Obviously, we just received today or yesterday our latest reimbursement for November and December wages. No, October and November wages.
November, December.
Yeah.
November, December.
November, yeah, we pay them. Yeah, so November and December wages, so we continue to submit those on a regular basis. They've asked us for a cash flow for the ARPA grant in the grant meeting, which we'll be talking about later, but they've asked us for a cash flow of how much we're gonna, so I will be preparing that, I haven't finished that, but to essentially forecast how much of the ARPA grant we're gonna use. As we talked about, there may be, because obviously you can only reimburse wages, there may be a slight amount left on the table of the ARPA grant that we cannot, in other words, wages that we will not have paid by December. The ARPA grant ends December 2024. So they've essentially asked us for a cash flow that says how much we're going to use. And so when we forecast that, I'll let you know that at the next meeting. And essentially that's our forecast of how much it's going to be left, if there's going to be, or are we going to get to the total of the ARPA grant, the total 800, whatever, 820,000, whatever the total grant was for the ARPA grant. So as I said, we're working on that forecast right now, and we'll distribute it to you at the next meeting.
The deadline is December.
So the ARPA grant ends in December 2024. Obviously, you have, as with most grants, you have then 60 days, 90 days after that to submit expenses related to the grant and essentially close.
So all expenses up to December.
Yeah.
Can be
submitted for reimbursement through the ARPA grant, right? So we're not asking for advances. Remember, we're submitting expenses that we've incurred and paid for that now we're asking for reimbursement. Right? Much more certain, much more kind of so we're not asking for any advances of the money, instead we have to control the money through the bank and all that kind of. So we're avoiding all that. We're saying we've already paid, reimburse us. So, and it's only as we talk about, it's only the wages of the commissioners and the support authority staff that we submit. So.
Do we know if other boards of Richmond returning a portion of the ARPA funding that they received?
Don't know. That's what they're asking. It's forecast. I'm sure it's all spent. I'm sure lots of boards have already spent their money, obviously, but that would be a question for if that cold. That would be a question. They're just gathering this information, so I'm assuming that that's one of the questions is how much money will be left, so that they can reallocate it to spend it before the deadline. So that we're not going to. The next item, so that's it for the ARPA. Does anybody have any questions? So the FDOT audit, so we prepared, so the FDOT audit, was, remember that was the audit of the actual grant. So the FDOT came in and sent an audit team here to review how we handle the grant. They had no comments other than, everything was okay, other than they want us to write our policies and procedures down. So we are in the process of doing that. We promised that to the auditors by April. We need to send it to FDOT first, and so we have our first draft ready. Do you want me to circulate it to the board before I send it off to? Obviously, the next step is for us to send it to FDOT. They want to see it before we send it to the FDOT auditors. So they're a stakeholder in this audit too. So they want a copy of it, and so, and they want to look at it before we send it off. So obviously, we have the first draft ready, we're in the final stages. Our goal is to get that first draft ready by January 31st. So once I've approved it, finalized it, we'll send it to the board. And obviously, once, kind of, obviously at the next meeting, we discuss it, then we'll send it off to FDOT. As I said, with the goal of getting it to the auditors by April, essentially.
Do you need to have a formal vote of approval?
For the policy and procedures, we may need to implement that, right? So obviously, because they are our official board policy and procedures for management of the grant funds, essentially. So it just says how we receive from Savage and how we interact and all that kind of stuff. So yes, they'll have to be implemented as the Ocean County Port Authority policies and procedures.
I would recommend you do that by resolution, so that there's a record of it. You're economic.
So we'll add that to next meeting. Is that what you've done?
Yeah, so by January 31st, you will have a draft copy, you can review it, obviously, and then yes, we can discuss it. If there's any changes, obviously, or if not, approve it at the next meeting.
Okay, so is this going to affect Savage's receiving funds, like timing of funds, or?
No, essentially, it's just coding, it's essentially coding what we do now, right? We already have that separation, we have our office involved, obviously, we have the commissioners approving the transfers, the wire transfers of the checks.
They want procedures.
They just want it written down, right? They're very happy with everything we were doing, but they wanted it in a book that they could want to, right? We just said, well, we just, we use the state level policies and procedures, but at our detail level, we don't have it. And they said, no, we need them at your detail level. Fine.
So before we adopt them, are they going to be approved by FDOT? Are they going to get an advance copy? Or
It's up to you what process, so I'm gonna send it to you as a draft. I can send it to FDOT at the same time, again, for comments,
right?
for any changes.
But
So the only, obviously, they need to be approved by the time they go to the auditors. And I mean, the auditors are reviewing them, they're not gonna suggest changes, they're just, it's done, right? It's just, we fulfilled our audit requirement, that the suggestion that they made in the audit, that we need to write this down.
yeah, I think it would be good to have something presented to the board that FDOT has already seen.
So I'll send it to everyone at the same time, again, for comments, and we've decided it's ready to approve the changes. So next time is the regular audit. So obviously the auditors, the audit report is here, and I will be distributing that to you this week sometime. So it may be by Monday once you're in your email. We have the audit report. We prepared the MD&A, the management discussion and analysis. As I said, I tell you all the time, the management discussion and analysis is the management discussion and analysis. It's a very dry wording of just financial stuff. So if you want to add something in there, obviously you can. That does have to be approved by the auditors. You have to, you can't. They have to kind of not that they approve, but you have to. They won't let you get too far off into fantasy land in an audit report, right? So it has to be something that they can verify. If you're going to put numbers in there or something like that, they have to be able to verify. So I will send you that. Obviously, again, same thing. If you have any comments or anything like that, we did discuss. So this has to go back to Wade, to Malden and Jenkins. The audit firm Malden and Jenkins. They need to go through their final process and issue us the final report. So that will decide. I think we decided we wanted Wade to come, someone from Malden and Jenkins, and we would Wade to come to a meeting to present the audited financial statements. He will come to present the final report, right? So, our review is done and they've done their review. So just realize that there is some time. So if you have any comments or anything, I'll give you a week to come back to me, and then we're going to send him off to Wade for him to finish his stuff. And then we can schedule for him to come to the meeting. And I can't tell you when that will be, because it just depends how long it takes them to finish their quality, essentially their quality control review of the audit. And that's the final step before they can issue the final report.
Did Nick Rubio talk to all the members? Y'all talk to him? Yes. from Malden and Jenkins. He called me and wanted to talk.
He probably asked you, yeah.
Yeah.
So just, yeah, so,
I've already talked. to him.
yeah,
We're good.
he's way is the supervisor.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mark is the auditor actually doing it. So.
Will we be calling on the commission?
No, not necessarily. And he called because we were chair of that one.
Yeah.
In the year that's being audited.
Uh,
So as I said, please watch your emails and get back any comments or any changes you want, or any questions you have. As I said, obviously, once the audit is issued, it's very complicated to get it changed, obviously. We could encourage some fees, so we want to make sure we don't, if we have questions or something stands out, or, please let me know, next week's the time. All right. The next part, I don't know if you had a specific question. You asked me to review the capital expenditures, the process for.
It's come up a few times at the meeting, just discussing how capital expenditures would be shared between the operator and OHPA.
Right.
And the need for repairs is now part of the bonds disclosures that have been issued to investors. So it seems like an appropriate time to discuss the sharing of expenses of the operator.
So, obviously in the operating agreement, so obviously the operator, so it, as part of the operating agreement, the operator agrees to maintain the facilities and the equipment to deliver the services, right? And to do the normal, day-to-day repairs, maintenance, and then our agreement says if any single repair, preventive maintenance job or refurbishment exceeds $15,000, then they can seek reimbursement from the port authority for that money. Right now, remember, and where those funds come from, obviously, is the $5,000 a month maintenance fee that's being contributed to. And after year 7, as we start year 7, the additional port tonnage fees go to fund the maintenance reserve. Okay. And certain percentages, and there's a little bit more complicated mechanism than that. So the first $50 comes to the port authority to spend as additional expenses, and then the rest of it goes into the maintenance reserve and continue to build the maintenance reserve until there's a significant amount of money there. And we have, and obviously at any time, the operator can, as he's done in the past couple at the last meeting, has presented a request to spend that maintenance reserve. And so and then it's for the port authority to agree to use that maintenance reserve, and there has to be an agreement that we're going to use the maintenance reserve to spend those funds. If there's no, so the overriding is that the operator is responsible for maintaining the equipment and facilities, whether there's funds available in the maintenance reserve or not. Right, so obviously there's always the overriding. If there's no funds available, then, and that's happened, so where, as I said, the fire sprinkler system in the warehouse had to be fixed, and the port operator essentially had to pay for that, or else they wouldn't have lost their certificate of occupancy. This was before we took over, so they would lost the certificate obviously for that warehouse, and so obviously that had to be fixed, and there's only X amount of funds in the maintenance fund, and the port operator had to bust it.
And there's approximately $81,900 in maintenance amount.
Yeah.
That's what we lost before.
That is a 729, yes. So that gets funded with $5,000 per month by the operator. And as I said, there are mechanisms starting in year 7 to add additional funds to those maintenance funds to pay for that. And the same thing for capital improvements that want to be made. Obviously, the cranes and things like that are the responsibility. The purchasing of cranes is responsible to the port authority. Okay, but if the port authority doesn't have the funds to acquire those, then you have the operator has to come to an agreement to somehow fund those purchases. And if they don't, if there's no agreement, as I said, then, and what's happened is obviously the port operator in the past, so like the $5 million that we spent on the 2 North Carolina cranes, essentially $2.5 million came from the grant, and $2.5 million was essentially put into the maintenance account by the operator, essentially to fund the purchase of the crane. Right, so essentially the port operator provided additional maintenance capital funds to purchase, to fund that purchase, and that's equity, that's strictly, that's just, that crane belongs to the port authority, the port authority asset. Essentially, obviously, leased, through the lease agreement, obviously the port operator has the right to use that crane, but essentially that asset belongs to the port authority. Obviously, we also have to maintain it, but again, under the maintenance agreement, the operator has to maintain it, does the maintenance of it. So that's kind of the non-legal, the accounting view of the world, obviously. So,
Can you also add to that, and I know I didn't ask you this in advance, but the conduit bonds that were issued is 27 million, is that right?
I think the total bond issue or the total potential bond issue is 27 million. I don't know that all the bonds were ever issued. The total bonds were up to 27 million, of which X, because some of it was for capital, like, I think the $2.5 million for the grant came from the bonds, right? So some of that was tax-free bonds that had to be spent on capital, and then other funds could be used for operations or whatever of the operator, right? So I don't know that they issued, I'd have to look and see, but I don't remember them issuing $27 million in total. That was a potential bond offering, but like I said, there was requirements on how that had to be done and what the money had to be spent on.
Right. Now, I remember reading in one of the disclosures, $10 million worth of capital investments being made for in physical investments.
Yeah, over the last 3 to 4 years, essentially between the cranes, so $5 million for the cranes, $2 million for the wheel crane, right? Obviously the warehouse space and all that, and so yes, you get to somewhere approximately $10 million invested by national terminals in, and obviously some of that came from grants, obviously some of that was paid for by taxpayer money, but obviously half of that, at least half of that, came from the port operator. And I think I've said this before, obviously before with the old bonds, we were in a financial emergency, right? Many times, and we would have to answer, and in financial emergency that we had negative equity, right? We had debt and assets that were depreciating, and so we had a negative net equity position on our balance sheet. The state of Florida defines that as a financial emergency, so we would have to go annually to the state of Florida and send us letters and their financial emergency, please tell us why. And so we would have to answer that each year. Obviously, that it's because of depreciation in long-time assets and things like that.
We're talking about the Ken Morgan years.
Yeah. I'm talking about Ken. Yeah. No, not lately. I'm talking about Ken. I'm not talking about.
Right.
I'm talking about Ken Morgan years. Yes, when the old bonds were issued, there were many times. Obviously, with the buyout by the retirement of the old bonds and this equity that's been pumped into for all this new equipment, obviously we are now in a very healthy position and far away from where we were 8 years ago, 10 years ago. So we were, considered. So.
From a balance sheet perspective.
Yeah, not we weren't in a financial emergency, everything was fine, but from the state of Florida, they consider it a financial emergency because of the balance sheet and because of the equity. And so obviously the operator pumped in additional equity, as I said, to buy these assets, and that improved our financial position and also the retirement of the bond, obviously that also.
Okay, and in the past, when we discussed selling real estate fund operations, you said that would be a terrible decision. Can you just elaborate on that?
So obviously the fixed fee is meant to fund operations, right? So, and that should obviously taking an asset and selling it to fund recurring costs, which means that when that asset is sold, you've locked it, and you'll run out of money eventually, right? So you have to live within your budget, which is, like I said, the fixed fee. And then, yes, I mean, these assets, if you wanted to do something with it, it has to be a one-time, whether it be investment, whether it be changing land, whether it be, building a new facility, something. But to spend it on operating costs, yeah, is a waste, because it's not gonna last, we're gonna run out, and then we're gonna.
We've talked about, you and I have talked about this many times, not using that money for that reason, but investing that money. So we could live off the interest of it. Yeah, that amount of money, we get a pretty good bit of interest every year. And we could use that to help, recurring costs or whatever we need to do with it. Not the principal balance, we need to invest in someone that would always have.
Yeah, I mean, so that's an investment, like land is an investment, right? Obviously, land has changed values over the years. Obviously, you can invest in stock, you can invest in land, you can invest in whatever. Obviously, it has a return on it. Obviously, having it in money means that if your opportunity came up, you can move that, right? And so obviously, if it's in land, it would take longer to if there was an opportunity that came up.
So if we needed money to purchase or to do something on the west side of the county, we could potentially have some money to do that.
Yeah, I mean, if an opportunity came up, and you need it quickly.
But not spend it on maintenance.
Right, no, and I think there was a suggestion that we spend on some of the maintenance support. Obviously, unfortunately, that's a deep hole of money that, fixing up the roofs on the warehouses, would use up these funds and probably still not be enough. I mean, those require potentially some large investments that obviously will have to be discussed with the operator. So it would not be obviously the operator is responsible for the day-to-day maintenance of the facility and continued use. And obviously they need those warehouses. And just like when the fire system, if it needs to be fixed, and then it's a business decision by the operator as to whether they need that warehouse work or not. And if we don't have the funds in the maintenance account, then we have to discuss how we're going to fund that and how we're going to pay for it, all that kind of stuff.
Did you review the filing this month that was made about the, needed repairs?
You're talking about the capital expenses that you said. I looked at it, and I didn't discuss it with the operator. I mean, obviously, everything has to be approved. Obviously, all buildings and facilities is owned by the operator, owned by the Port Authority. So the operator would have to come and present whatever capital projects. So I think there's like a $3 million capital project in there, or $3 million for what's it called, mitigation of
Not sure which one that is.
environmental mitigation or something like that. So, but no specific projects. I'll send it to you. I'm going to send it to you to discuss it. And I don't know how, where that number came from, or that was made.
And what environment are we talking about?
It's just in that filing. So it's just a page of that filing. They've identified like $5 million of capital projects. But there are two categories: $3 million in environmental remediation, so they call it, I think. And then but that could be, coastal things or whatever.
If we needed, excuse me, Chairman, if we needed to, and we're gonna have to repair the north end of facility where it floods, so there's no environmental mitigation from that portion of it. I don't think that I would say.
Well, but that would maybe there, again, there's gonna be a cost to that. How does it get paid? Where do we get the funds out?
Yeah.
We'll be looking for grant funds. Obviously the Port Authority. So it doesn't have the funds to.
But our resiliency plan help us.
Obviously the first, you know, are there grant funds been?
Yeah.
And how much is available? What do you have to do? The resiliency plan, I think, was there to potentially get some grant funds, to identify. So I think the resiliency plan was funded by grant funds, right? But then obviously the resiliency plan identifies the issues. Now you have to identify grants that would fund those issues that you have. Are there any funds available? And then obviously the second question for the Port Authority is how much of the matching components, right? How much, you know, is it 50% grant, 25% grant? Obviously 100% grant. Great.
Well, that's why we talked with the city about maybe combining those, but I'm not sure if they would do that from what I heard.
Well, I mean, it's identifying.
Yeah.
Because obviously there's water, could you provide them there? I don't know if they're getting federal funds or state funds to do that. And I don't think the city gets money from that dot, right? Which is where most of our money.
So regarding seeking grant funding, I think in the December meeting, you were going to start connecting with the Florida Ports Council. Have you engaged with them?
We are attending a meeting this week.
And obviously, well, I think we talked about it later. We also said the grant meeting actually before to discuss the old grants and the money that's left on the table. You know, and again, finding obviously matching grant, the grant and the purpose for the grant with the opportunities or the things that we're looking to do on the facility. So that's part of the issue is making sure those match up with the money's available.
I'm sure, I don't know if this is proper time to ask this, but I know when the previous operator, that we got a lot of open grants. Did we get those at that meeting the other day straightened out?
We'll go over those
Okay.
when it comes to the but yes, there was a lot of light shed on those issues. And but I will say this, we have to be careful that we don't throw our hat in the ring and then not do anything and you'll see when we get to the report.
Just to step back a bit and to help further clarify, because there was a question about how capital investments treated and how maintenance is treated. I think in the operating agreement, the maintenance treatment is very clear, very well defined, and not really in question. But the nature of the agreement regarding capital investment is essentially the way that I read it is to be negotiated as the projects come up and as the needs come up, and to be funded as negotiated.
Correct. And just obviously before your time, obviously we used to collect about as a method to pay back the bond.
Pre-2018.
Yeah.
So that kicks in, the tonnage fee kicks in October of this year.
Yeah, so there is a cost of mortgage. It's probably, it's so it all got mortgage, but as I said, before 2018, in the previous bonds, we were collecting document mortgage approximately $1.5 million a year, depending on bond.
Right.
That was all going to pay out the bonds. Right. Essentially that was the mechanism within the old contract to pay for the bonds that built the port. Essentially, the bond money was used to build the port, right? All the facilities, all the trades, all the et cetera, et cetera. So that was the mechanism that was used. So just as an example, that was the mechanism back then. So
in exchange for assuming the bonds, the operator collects stockage and worth of them. I'd be really interested to see, you have a record of the bond issues and how much was actually issued of that 27 million. That'd be interesting to double check. Because up until now, I assumed the 27 million had been funded.
No, because like I said, part of the bond was for capital had to be used. Like I said, part of it was yes, used to fund to essentially repay or to the 10 million or whatever that the operator had converted to actually purchase it for the time and purchase I'll see that.
Okay, yeah, it'd be interesting.
So, all, you know, obviously, all the documents that you're seeing talking about, or, yeah, part of those, part of those, what we draw down, essentially. As they purchase like the cranes, things like that.
Okay,
So those down was issued straight from the bond holder. Right, so it had part of it, and then it became debt as a issue.
okay.
Any other questions on this topic or discussion in the office? Okay, and that brings us to the operational plan.
Great. So one of our primary goals is to receive 5 or more ships per month. That's the 5 plus, and it's good. We're operating in a sustainable manner. We have the customers needed to continue operations and continue essentially profitability. So that's the cutoff. So in December, we did have 5 port calls, and it's looking, not to forecast, but it's estimated that we will also have 5 in January. Tonnages, if we went back to October, we would have been estimating 8 vessel calls for December, just timing of ships, some people call every quarter, or some customers call monthly, and some call multiple times during the month. But because of Panama Canal restrictions, we've been seeing fewer ships, and it's affecting some of our customers in a big way. So there have been workarounds to where we think those customers have found a way to consistently get through the canal. Just to put it in perspective, normally the canal can put through 40 to 45 ships per day, and they're down to 20 to 25 ships per day because of the drought. Yeah. And the cost to get some of the bigger ships through, 10 years ago it was $500,000, and a few months ago it was $3 million per ship. So it is a hindrance to some of our customers, and it can block them, delay loads, delay calls, delay volumes. So we're happy to see that our customers are working around it and finding ways to get ships through the canal and to keep business flowing in.
Is that because our ships are smaller, or what is that?
Yeah. So the ships that are calling on the Port of Fernandina are typically smaller. So some of the bigger Panamax or ships are the ones that it's more economical to get those through the canal than it is a smaller ship.
So you came up, it looks like 120,000 tons short at 23 or 22. First, are we, so I mentioned the forecast for the entire year for 24, and you have that number. So you're saying that the 5 to 6 ships per month that the 5 ships we had in December, if we get 5 to 6 ships per month, that should get us in positive.
Yeah, it would be a profitable operation at 5 plus ships.
Do you have, outside of existing customers, do you have things in the pipeline, or what are we doing in addition to try to build up that business?
Yeah, we do. We have no control over the volumes that come on the ships. So what we can influence is customer acquisition. And so we've got massive efforts. We've recently hired a new commercial resource to go after, to basically focus on new customer acquisition. And so she is based out of Jacksonville now, and she started the last week of December and is already making lots of impacts and drumming up lots of business. So our pipeline is growing. We have a new customer that started 2 weeks ago, storing container-sized transformers at the port. And so that's one of the first new customers we've had. That was the first new customer of 2023 is when we signed an agreement with them. And the business just started. So we should see a lot of throughput of those. And those are transformers for solar farms. And so project cargo, it doesn't last forever, but these are, big transformers, and there are a lot of them, and there are a lot of solar farms going in that need them. So we expect to see, we could see volumes from them for 1 to 3 years. And outside of that, we do have, the pipeline is growing, and we have deals that are getting nearer and nearer to contracting, so it looks really good.
It's good news that
It is.
we get to report
It is good news.
to our respective boards.
And we will, as soon as they're contracted, we'll let you know.
So we shouldn't be publicizing those contracts yet.
Not yet.
I saw that we still have on the agenda, customer service issues. It sounded like those were resolved.
I believe they have been. I haven't seen any recently.
They've improved, yes. I get 1 or 2. But I refer them to the phone number that was given, and they're happy.
Just another update. So the tug was put in service, I believe, put back in service December 13th. I could be wrong. That's what I remember. So it's back in service. All of the maintenance was completed. Regarding more maintenance, the canopy repairs. So we've engaged with a contractor to execute that work. It's planned to start next week and be complete by the end of February. And we're still working to find a service provider that can repair the adjoining roof, or the roof of the adjoining warehouse. So we're struggling to find somebody in the area that can actually perform that work at a reasonable cost. But we think we'll be able to.
Do you know the approximate value of the contract
So we think, are you talking about the canopy?
for the warehouse roof?
No, we've had bids, but they were unreasonable and incomplete scope of work, and we didn't think the contractor actually had the ability to perform. So we're just continuing our search and engaging with other contractors. So I don't have any good data on that yet, or nothing firm. We believe, so the canopy will be done end of February and complete, and we would expect, I'm gonna go out on a limb here, we would expect the cost to come in under $50,000 total cost.
That's. Yeah. That's on the rail about campus.
Yeah,
Talking about.
that's right. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, where it had, I think it was storm damage. Yep.
Okay, I just want to confirm something because, the information that I was given was there's a contractor in. And that he's trying to work it out to where he can get up here in March, whether it's the middle of March or toward the end of March, that wasn't clarified. But the work was supposed to begin, so that's not correct.
No. Do you know who told you that?
Right.
Do you know who told you that?
I got that from the facility, maintenance manager.
Okay, no, that's not right.
I mean. Okay.
Must have been one of them I heard.
But while we're at it, on warehouse number 3, there's still no movement on that, correct?
Is warehouse number 3 the adjoining warehouse?
Warehouse number 3, it's got the, heavy corrosion on the roof panels.
Yeah, so no, that's the one I was referring to when I said, that we struggled to find a contractor to perform the work at a reasonable
Well,
cost.
that's the reason I want to clarify this, because the rail canopy is the one that I was told is going to be started in March. I just want to clarify that.
Yeah, so that I'm saying that information is wrong. So they're looking to start first week in February.
Okay.
So do you intend to put the roof repair out for bid or no?
Yeah, we're accepting bids, we're putting them out, we're contacting contractors.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not something, I mean, we can perform some of the work, but not all of it.
So because it's an OPA warehouse, do we need to follow any particular procedure with it or?
It's as if we self-perform the work and we can choose to self-perform it or have a contractor perform it, you know, all or some of it.
Okay.
Mhm.
I'll make sure.
So we got 21 trucks. Average of 21 left. In December,
That's right.
and then there was 135 rail cars.
That's right.
What's,
So we should see that number increase in January.
what goes out on the rail cars?
I think it's coming in,
Coming in?
yeah. So we receive it. I can't remember the exact product that we received, but it's one customer. We receive, you know, kind of an average number of rail cars a month and we unload them.
Yeah, so FDOT reports on our export and import partners, and I saw that there was a response, but I didn't go down to every email, but I think you were talking on that. We did get the information to FDOT regarding.
That's right. That's right. So it took a few tries to get it all complete and populated, but we did it.
Yeah, that's good information for us to report out, and I saw that some of the ports report import exports, even if they're like domestic import exports to other counties in the United States.
Okay,
So I don't know if that's helpful or not, but it's good information just to give a sense of goods flowing, you know, in and out of the port. And then the last thing was I think you already said about the Fort Punch tugboat. Did you want to give an update about that?
yeah, so we responded to NARAD with our opinion and view of the market and essentially a request to give us more time and to essentially review and give us their opinion of viable projects that we see in the market. And I think the very last email from them was just requesting a concurrence from OPA or if OPA agrees or not.
And you were talking about this last email, right, from there?
Yes.
Okay, what's your understanding of where we are relative to their requirements? Are we meeting the requirements?
I don't have a position on that, and I think we can kind of summarize the operator, kind of give a summary of where they are, what they're trying to do, an update to DOT and what DOT asked of OPA was, do we concur with what the operator is saying? My recollection is they wanted a response this week, but I am scheduled to speak with Vince. I don't remember Vince's last name, it's in my email, but I'm speaking with Vince tomorrow to talk about just the process, and then what you asked me, what are the implications if we don't satisfy their requirements, what happens, what does it mean for short-term and long-term? But I think they're waiting here for this board, like Greg just mentioned, whether we agree with the operators assessment, which is in your,
Yes.
right, it's the, right, so basically, my understanding is that DOT wants to know, does this board agree with the operator's explanation? So that's as far as I've got.
Okay, and is that up? Did we have it attached to the meeting agenda?
Yes, but it's not up there yet.
But behind the time of the report.
And it's Matt Harrow, his last name, Benjamin.
Maybe could you just summarize what you said in the email to the board so that they know what they're comparing to?
Yeah. So regarding the use of the tug, we reiterated that it is a docking tug, and that was the original intention, and we are using it for docking activity. Then one of the other statements was around was around the market and the M95 intentions of the grant and the impacts of COVID on that market and how it changed the local transportation and marine industry. We included our opinion that we don't see that those original intentions as viable in the market right now, and it's also our opinion that it won't be for a long time. And so we're requesting more time to be able to discover other business opportunities for growth and to hopefully satisfy the exact requirements or something close, something acceptable. And that's essentially the request in response to merit.
So, from what I read in the correspondence, the response from OHPA previously was that the tug was never intended to be an ocean-going tug, that it was always for import activities. And it looks like David responded back saying that he believed that the grant agreement allowed the tug to be used for import activities in the interim. But then Mara responded back that the time period for completing expenditures on the M95 program had expired. And so, you know, any further effort basically it's outside of the funding period. And so that's the part that I'm just struggling with, because I don't see how our response answers that piece. Like what I'm hearing you say is that even if we had more time, it's the likelihood of getting an M95 service up and running is remote.
I don't think that we're asking for more funds with another business opportunity that satisfies it. So our intentions are to request that MARAD essentially agree that the tug is being used as intended, and if they'd like to give us more, what we're trying to avoid is any kind of a clawback. And so, you know, I don't think we haven't intended to go and ask for more funding under the current grant. What we'd like to do is continue the use of the tug as it was originally intended and continue to see business that satisfies the intentions of the grant.
We have a copy of the grant somewhere, Marion, that when we asked for the money for the tug. Doesn't it say in there what we intended to use the tug for, how it's going to be used?
We should have a copy of the grant application.
Somewhere.
Is that part of what you reviewed when you responded to Mara?
Yeah, we have reviewed that. Yeah, we have a copy of it. And we received it from OHPA.
Yeah, I don't think we ever said it's going to be an ocean going
No,
tug.
yeah, it's not. It has recreational, rotors. Yeah. It's just the design of it is for docking.
Yeah. I don't know where they got the idea from. We're going to use it as an ocean going tug.
Well, I'm not sure that that's even relevant, because what they're saying is that we haven't established an M95 service. And so however we get that done, it doesn't require the tug to be used as an ocean going tug. It just requires there to be an M95 service.
Well, I thought they were saying that's what we were going to use this tug for, ocean going.
Well, and the previous operator in their IMA disclosures
Yeah.
said to investors that this was, you know, a zero cost asset that was really helping, you know, offset the operational costs of the port. But that's really not what it was intended for. It was intended to establish an M95 service. And so I just still can't see the connection between the M95 service going live, a program that meets the M95 that is responsive to their requests. Like that's what I'm really looking for.
Yeah, in the response, we gave our opinion of the M95 service. We don't have it in place today. What we're saying is we need more time to explore business opportunities because of the impact of COVID. That's our response.
Yeah.
So we obviously can't satisfy it today, but the docking tug is being used as intended. And we are seeking those business opportunities and asking for more time.
Madam Chair, I would like to make mention that, I was at the terminal when all of that got started. And we need to make note that those 6 trucks are associated with that tug. That was part of the operational equipment to get that barge service underway. So you may want to look into that. Not just the tug we're talking about here, but 6 white trucks that are reportable on a monthly basis. During the meetings. So we need to look at that, but it was my understanding that those 6 trucks are associated. And the reason I say that is I was on a phone call late 2023 with Marriott, and they mentioned that the tug and those trucks were hand in hand. That's all one deal there. So it's not just the tugboat.
Yeah, that money went to pay for those trucks.
Those trucks were associated with getting those containers to and from the barge. So,
I think we have requested the, revenues from the tug, just so that we have a clear picture of how it's been used. And I don't think we've received that information. I think we did receive a list of fees after multiple requests for, the tariff for the tugboat, which we got different answers. At one point, we were told there is no set fee, we charge customers whatever they want.
Who did you receive that from?
The previous operator. And then we eventually received, like a very informal list of what the published fees were for the tug, but I don't think we've ever received any statements of what fees have been charged and what revenues have been collected for the tug. We've asked about an agreement for operating the tug and maintenance, which I don't believe we have in place. So there's a lot of records that we've asked for relative to the tug. And so that combined with MARAD's unavailability until tomorrow does not leave me in a comfortable position to ask this board to make a concurrence. But I understand what you're saying about a clawback, and I think that every member of this board supports in spirit what you're trying to do. And I do get the sense that you are in support of the M95 in concept. I'm just concerned about a concrete answer to MARAD because it has been so long and
Well,
we
what's
haven't
it-
received those records and they haven't received those records.
Have they requested revenues of the tug?
They requested a list of customers, letters of commitment from customers.
Regarding N95 service? We don't have that. That's what we've communicated. I think that our response merits a concurrence from OHPA. It is, exactly as I've summarized, we haven't satisfied the N95 service and we explained why. We explained a couple of opportunities that we do have in the pipeline that are close. And our opinion that we don't think the M95 service is viable or demanded in the market. And so we're asking for more time.
And you need a letter from us saying that.
MARAD is requesting a concurrence that OHPA agrees with our response.
Madam Chair, I move that we supply MARAD with those requests.
A motion that we provide, is this a formal concurrence or just a vote?
I think you should vote on, whether OHPA as a body is going to provide concurrence of the operator's position on the tug and MARAD. Is that your motion?
Yes.
Madam Chair, before we take the vote,
Did you get a second?
Yes, we did, from Commissioner.
I would just like to remind the board that this goes back into late 2023. MARAD, in my opinion, has been very patient in waiting on responses. But I think what we're seeing in this is a failure to communicate basically to them on the full intention of what that tug will or will not be used for. And what it's being used for now does not fit the frame that the grant was granted on. So I would caution before we go saying, yeah, we concur. You better know what we're concurring to.
Well, it's written right there.
We wrote a letter, we responded to Merit, and we were very clear and even floated the agreement, grant agreement as to what the use of the tug was described as there, and explained the use of the tug today and showed how it's satisfied.
That tug was purchased to operate the bar service.
Right, that's what.
No, that's not right.
Well,
That's
No,
that's what the former operator told them it was gonna be used for. That's not the way it ended up.
It's not the way it's written in the bond agreement,
And it's not, yeah, not written in the bond
or I
agreement.
mean, the grant agreement, sorry.
Madam Chair, can we get a copy, the commissioners get a copy of that grant? I mean, you've got two stories out there. We need to find out what's the right. I know I was out there and I know what I was told, that tug would be used. And it was never used for what it was intended.
What they told you it was supposed to be used for, they didn't tell, you know. This is what they told Mirad it was to be used for.
It was gonna be used for a bar service. That's what
All that matters is what's in the grant agreement.
That's why I say, I would request, I would like to see it for myself.
We have a motion on the board. How soon do we need to let them know?
They want to know like Friday.
But they also said they weren't available to speak with us until tomorrow, and they did take a meeting invitation for tomorrow.
Correct, but to be clear, I'm not talking with them about the merits of the operator's statement or your position on it, because I'm not educated enough to know David was handling all of this. So what I'm talking to Meredith about is what happens if we don't give them a satisfactory, what are the implications of a clawback, both short-term and long-term? That's all I'm talking to them about.
Yeah, it seems that with David's departure and then with Savage coming in as a new party with this grant agreement and with the this posture that was applied for, that we may need to gather more information and just put all the cards on the table and everyone dig in a little bit deeper on what was submitted and what the options are moving forward. I just want to clarify that when the motion is made to make a concurrence and this board expresses concerns, it doesn't mean that we disagree with your letter. It means that we're not prepared to concur formally because we need to educate ourselves on what the options are, what was in the grant agreement, what the implications are of concurrence. We asked Mr. Montero for more information about the implications and he would not provide it. So it's just, it feels very premature. I feel like being asked to do something without the corresponding information to do so. So this does not mean that we disagree with you at this point. It means that we're not taking that action.
That's understood. Just to be clear, we've responded in time and according to their deadlines that they've asked for. So this is continuing to extend that. So it's not us that's responding late, it's OHPA that's responding late.
So Commissioner Cole, you agree in a second?
Well, we got to do this, we get it, write a letter and tell them we're working on it, and then that's fine. Roll down a little bit, we probably want to deadline.
They have the operator's explanation and response. All they've asked for is this board concur with that.
Is there something there you don't agree with that the operator has said? No, I know that you'd like to see more detail of it.
Well, they've been pushing for an answer since late
Forever.
last year. I would say September, October, because I was on a conference call with them. And they were pushing for an answer then. And they took the reasoning that we've got some work that we're going to be coming up with. So they kind of moved it on back. Then they moved it to the end of the year. Here we are to the end of the first month of the next year, and we still haven't given them anything. Now, before I sit here and vote that we're going to go along and say, yeah, we concur with what the operator says, I would like to know a little bit more facts about what the outline of this grant was for. Because if it doesn't fit what Myriad is saying they are going to require, then we're stepping outside of the circle.
So, and I agree, we need, I agree with Mr. Nelson, we need more information, on this, just so we can have more detail and everything. Is it possible, I hate to ask the time, but we're coming back here February 5th, is it possible for us to do a special meeting after the Shea meeting, and get a, and then maybe at that point, give concurrence.
Would the operator, would you all be able to provide the records we've requested about the tug?
Amy was gonna respond, and I believe it was, we can provide revenue data for the tug, essentially fees that we've collected. You asked for accounts receivable, that's just not something that's available. It's buried in all of our receivables and not necessarily connected to the tug or a report that we can hit print on.
Okay. Are there any other records that any of the commissioners think we can need to have a better picture of compliance with the grant agreement? What documents do we think we need to review?
So we have received some receipts and some transactional information that was received a few days ago, so I can sit that around.
Okay. Rosanna, I know you have a Maryland file. Could you create on the Dropbox a file just for the Maryland Inland 5 grant and share that with individual commissioners that we can review the documents?
Yes,
Can we add this to the special meeting?
That's up to you. If you want, you can wait to hear from me on how the conversation goes tomorrow. I can tell, convinced that you all discussed and that you intend to provide an answer, but you can gather more information and see what he says, or you can pick a lot of and set it for the 5th, and I can tell him.
Okay, I'm open to setting it with the.
I want to procedurally, we still have a motion in a second. So,
I will try my best.
Okay, so we'll set a special meeting. Does that give you enough time to notice, Rosanna? For the
yes,
and you could declare this an emergency. If
Yeah.
you wanted, we're already going to be having a meeting on the 5th, so the notice is going to go out.
and of course I have to confirm if the auditorium is open that night.
Okay. And Greg, you said just a minute ago that you do not need any additional funds. Part of the response from USDOT was that they want to release the obligated or de-obligate the funds that are not being that have not been drawn out because that period is over. So do you agree with them de-obligating those funds?
About grants?
So the grant was for $1.2 million, and I think there's 200 and some thousand. I don't remember.
I'm not ready to comment on that right now. It just hasn't been our focus to try to secure those funds.
Okay, so but there was two parts to their email, and he said that if he didn't hear back from us, he was going to proceed to de-obligate the funds, and he was going to proceed to dispose of the assets. Right? Those were the two
Right.
things. So
So-
you're only commenting, you only are asking for action on one of those items?
No, we're saying we need more time. We just need more time to secure business or to seek business that satisfies it. We don't see it in the market right now.
Okay, but you didn't respond about the de-obligating funds?
No, we responded with, we responded with where we stand now and what our opinion is and path forward. We're not going to tell him that it's okay to de-obligate funds. We want more time. That's
Okay,
our
so you
request.
disagree with both, okay. That wasn't clear from the response. So I just would request that when you're dealing with federal funds, that the request that's brought to this board is presented in a manner that we have enough information to act on. So if this is your item and this is this important to you, I would expect it to be presented to the board with a very clear, concise ask as to what we are agreeing to. And if a resolution needs to be made, we need to have that in as part of the agenda attached to what's public, not just an item, not just a bullet. If we need a resolution, it needs to be prepared in advance.
This isn't our item, this is an OPA item between OPA and Merit, and we have graciously created a response to help OPA, but really this response is due from OPA. We've provided it to you as assistance. This item is OPA's item on the schedule. Merit is requesting this from OPA.
Okay, and all of the revenue that this basically free capital asset has gone to the operator.
It isn't a free capital asset. We got a portion of grant and then the operator funded the remaining.
$200,000.
I don't remember the amount.
Are you prepared to purchase the tug?
I can answer
Any other questions on this topic?
Having a session with you on.
Yes.
Okay.
So, do we want to handle this before the shading?
The issue with doing that is the court opponent is going to be sitting there with you.
It's clear out.
So Rosanna, we want to call it a special meeting then and have those two items
Okay.
on the agenda, with the shading first. And then this topic second.
Okay, I hope you appreciate our position, Mr. Hill. We support what you're doing, but it's when an item like this is inherited. I know I myself, as a long-term member of this board, I appreciate the additional time to review. Old business.
So just as a response to that, this has been on the agenda for a couple of weeks now. And OPA has the grant agreement, and the grant agreement was between Merit and OPA. And we gave our response on January 5th. So there's been ample time to review this.
I mean, if you would prefer calling it for a vote, it didn't sound like enough votes to pass. So does that put you in a better position to have a negative vote?
You can't call.
If you would prefer that we take action tonight, it did not sound like you had enough votes to get a concurrence.
No, that isn't my intent.
Okay.
My intent, yeah, I agree that everybody needs to be informed and the right decision needs to be made. I just wanted to be clear as our position and to gain kind of consensus and understanding of facts and what's happened over the past 3 months regarding this. That was my intent.
Old business. Customs and Border Protection Facility RFP candidate. So we have one response from Ziskovich and Associates. Their information is in the packet. You'll recall this is a request for qualifications. So the ask is that the board, having reviewed the qualifications, would enter into negotiations for a contract with this firm. And so what I would entertain is a motion to award the RFQ to the single respondent and to enter into negotiations for or an extended invitation to negotiate, authorizing Patrick to come back to the board with the final agreement. And we could take a motion on that just for discussion.
So,
Do I have a second? Thank you. So the qualifications, they have a Jacksonville office, which is good. You'll recall that we have a grant for funding. We have funding for this project. This is a priority project for the Customs and Border Patrol. It's been a long time coming. Our entertainment of this, or I guess not our willingness to move forward with this project is critical for maintaining our relationship with Customs and Border Patrol and Fernandina being a designated port of entry. Not being a designated port of entry would have consequences not only for the port, but also for the city's airport, because operations for both facilities are managed out of this one office. I know you all have reviewed some of the technical requirements for the office. So we were advised by the previous director to, to move forward with this in a timely manner to show good faith to Customs. And I agree with that recommendation. It's a good firm. They seem to have good experience both locally with the city marina and the federal projects nearby coming on. Are you all prepared to vote on stuff?
Can I say, Greg and I had a meeting with, this same one, Michael McGuinn. I think that was his name. And he gave us a lot of good information about his services. I think it behooves us to act on this as quickly as possible because Customs and Border is at the end of their road with this. As a matter of fact, we're going to have to negotiate a year-to-year agreement with them for a lease until this is built. And, so they say as long as we keep moving forward and start with this and get it done, pick out the location and all that goes with this, then they would be happy to do that. But they do need to see some quick movement on this. So I think we've got to pay the word to get it done.
Thank you for being a point on the Customs office. Any discussion?
How would they able?
Do you know the amount that was $27,000?
28,
28.
I think I got it. Right.
Yeah, right.
It's in the grant, yeah. 28,000. You want to speak on that?
Yeah, it was, I want to say it was close to $37,000 total, and, part of it was a grant, and then part of it was a 25% match contributed by the operator.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, we're excited to get this done and make progress.
And they have a fee proposal here, and they have what's excluded in that. I don't know how we'll work that out. That's part of it.
So is the operator going to pay for it?
Yes,
Yeah, we're gonna make the match,
the match, still
Yeah.
is match.
and the remainder, 75% will come through a grant, 25% from the operator.
Right.
Any other questions? All right, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
So Roseanne, when you let them know that they've been awarded, will you just connect them to me, with me?
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So we're down to the outdoor storage facility. We have two agreements related to this item, the coast to coast agreement and the Savage agreement. And I noticed in reading the Savage agreement that Savage's pre-approval of the coast to coast agreement was part of what is included. Has that already occurred? Have you already reviewed and signed off on the coast to coast agreement?
We would have.
Yeah, we drafted it.
Both these documents were reviewed by David and myself. And then reach out.
All right, do you want to tell us a little bit about that? President of the board?
About what?
About the agreements and how they're structured. So we have an agreement that's between OHPA and Coast to Coast to construct the dome-shaped building And then we had a corresponding agreement with Savage for reimbursement, you just not like walk us through the financials.
Right, so I mean, the general contract is directed with OPA, not the operator. Because of the grant funding, so then the separate agreement is how those funds are gonna be transferred and reimbursed to us. So you've got the standard agreement between OPA and the vendor, and then a side agreement between us and the operator as to how the process invoices when they're due, when the grant funds are received and processed. It's very similar to the other ones that we've done more recently.
And Greg, I know we've talked about this before, this is covered storage to support operations, can you just remind us about the importance of this additional storage? At the
Yeah.
port?
Yeah, absolutely. Because this market is predominantly a spot market rather than, a market where minimums are guaranteed. Having the available storage gives us the opportunity to go out to the market, offer the storage, and offer the service immediately. So it's in our minds, it's a little bit of if you build it, they will come. It just allows us to go and secure deals and customers that can use it immediately, rather than saying, "Oh, you have a ship on the water and you need this service. Give us 4 months to install it, and we'll be ready to go."
And what is the situation with the current storage? Are we at capacity or?
No, we have capacity right now, but that changes. We just want to be ready when the deal comes. Our plan is to grow the port and grow the customer base. So we want to have this ready for it, because this is, not everything can go in here, but we don't want to tie up, high clearance warehouse with something that can only stack 2 or 3 super stacks tall, something like that. So this gives us a really good option to bring in other products or cargoes that don't stack really high.
And in the past, we've talked about maintenance on these buildings. What is the plan for maintenance on the building? Do you know about how much it would be, what we're looking at annually?
Typically, we estimate 2 to 3% for annual maintenance, but this would be a port asset just like anything else, and with required maintenance.
Any other questions? I will be looking for a motion to approve these agreements as written.
Motion approved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
question. The vote was for both.
Simultaneously.
Okay, right.
Okay, the next item is our real estate. Yeah, real estate. RFP. Okay. No, actually, we're not. Let's see.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, sorry, I was like. OHPA property for sale, selection of broker. So attached at page, let's see. We got 100. You'll see each of the contracts for the real estate firms. We've heard from one of them tonight. The others do not appear to be present. Whose item is this?
Turn it into a quick comment.
Sure.
You have copies of all of their listing agreements, and rather than go through all of them before you even select anybody, these are all pretty standard. Where you select a broker, then I'll focus on that particular agreement. But again, the term, the commission, the term, the range, those are all pretty standard. I just don't want to spend a lot of time going through multiple ones when really the only one is going to matter. So once you select, then frankly, by the end of the week, I'll go through that particular listing agreement and get back to the broker with any comments I have. So if you have any general comments of what you do or don't want in an agreement, I'm happy to take those. But I don't, at this point, I don't know if it's necessary to comment on the details of each contract as opposed to identifying the broker you want and then we'll focus on that particular contract.
Was this an RFP or an RFQ?
Q.
Okay, so we're not approving any of the agreements that attached.
Correct.
We are just entering into negotiations with a particular.
Correct. Identify the broker you want me to focus on. I'll double check the contract and we will bring it back to you for signature.
Madam Chair, it's suggested or recommended in the past, so we give it a little.
Got a motion? I'll second it. For discussion.
Can you repeat the name?
Yes, still.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second. Okay. Amelia Coastal Realty LLC is right in front of me. So I have a motion and a second to enter into negotiations with Amelia Coastal Realty LLC. Any discussion?
Yeah, I just want to say, once again, reiterate that my vote is in no way a reflection of the broker. I'll vote no because I do not support the sale of the property. And want to make sure they understood, the broker understood, nothing against him or what he's proposing, but vote no.
So, any further discussion? So I would just like to add that, I mean, for all the reasons we discussed in Pierre's earlier presentation, that the rationale for selling land seems to be very different between different members of this board. We disagree in policy. It doesn't mean that, I mean, this is what politics is all about, right? Is we all have good intentions, different ideas about how to get there. I don't hear consensus on what the funds are going to be used for.
I don't think we need to do that.
And so once those funds are available, there are consequences to how those funds have to be spent under our operating agreement. And I don't see restrictions on the funds really being discussed or use of the funds being discussed. And selling public land is a big deal. And so I echo the comments that Vice Chair Taylor made, that I think it's a little bit unfair to the bidders because we haven't really agreed on our policy decision as a board as to why we need to do these. And so my vote no will not reflect my opinion of these firms, but just more that selling land is not a great decision for the purposes that I've heard. And I don't hear a clear consensus. But we have a motion and a second, and so if there's any further discussion, we can hear it now, and we can have a vote.
Madam Chair, now,
Yes, sir.
I'm a little bit drawn with the discussion that we're having here now. This has been an ongoing for months and months and months. We got 3 parcels. We'll put them in big parcels. We got the 2, one in front of Customs, one to the south, and then the one by the main office that we're talking about. It's property that we have already committed as a board to not outstep the footprint of the terminal as it stands now. So those pieces of property are sitting there, absolutely being used for nothing. I don't think that's good policy. I don't think that's good stewardship. If you've got something that we can sell, and I'm talking about one piece, I'm not talking about all 3 pieces, and I've been very clear on that from the time that I was seated on this board. What we do with the money would be advanced OHPA as an organization. You would have money, whether you wanted to invest it in diamond property, whatever you wanted to do. But if we sit here and we say that we're concerned about selling the property, there's other things that, you know, I'm a proponent for taking care of the port, because that's what this board is chartered and charged with, is taking care of that. You know, using the money for investment purposes, that's fine, for the right investment. But to sit here and say we don't want to do it for future generations, or we want to, you know, give the boards down the road something to do, that's not good stewardship. It's absolutely not good stewardship. So, I mean, with that, I understand the emotions about it, you know, selling the pieces of property, but we have a chance to move this board forward and get out of the same parking lot it's been in for the last 12 years, 13 years that I know of. It's not moving. We got to make some decisions and move on from where we are. So with that, I'm ready to catch up.
I just want to respond to your comment about expanding the footprint. So the commitment to the city is that we would expand the industrial footprint. That's the commitment. It's not the port, that is the port's footprint. We already own that. So, and the city has approached us about parking on certain lots. Over the years, there's been different discussions about other uses. My biggest disappointment with the whole process is that we didn't get any ideas. I mean, we've heard a few tonight now, but ideas about how OHPA could monetize the parcels. Instead, the agreement that's in front of us is to sell it. And if we don't sell it, we have to pay the marketing fees back. So we're incurring costs, we're putting ourselves further in the line, going down this defined path, as opposed to saying, we're gonna evaluate our land and figure out how to use it better. That's what I thought this was supposed to be about.
And we talked about in the very beginning, 7, 8 months or whatever this conversation started, question asking, what are we doing with money? What are we doing with money? I've heard we have attorney fees we can use to pay down. I've heard we pay for maintenance at the port. It wasn't a real plan. Instead, it was let's sell 3 properties. Let's sell 3 properties. At the time, I said, okay, I'm in for one, which knows that we're great for one. But then we did a piss poor job of moving forward with the broker that it was selected, who ended up backing out because we did a disservice to him because we were organized and we were clear on exactly what we were doing. So my problem now is we still, we can say, oh, we have a plan for the money, we invest it, we do this, we do that. But what are we really going to do with it? And so, no, I think right now is the wrong time to do it. Maybe later on down the line, we can look at opportunities, how to monetize that land or sell land and use it for investment purposes. But, I just, this whole process, I have a sour taste in my mouth with how it started and where we are now. And I hate it for the broker who we lost. I hate it for the ones we're looking at now. Because I don't want to think it's a reflection on them. It's a reflection on us and how organized we were when this thing started. So that's my position on the whole thing. I just don't think it's the right time.
Oh,
Okay. So we have a motion and a second to enter into negotiations with Amelia Coastal Realty LLC for a listing agreement on the property. I will not take the parcel number, but it's a specific parcel. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no.
No.
I'll let the record reflect that Vice Chair Taylor saw with nays. So the motion carries 3-2. Patrick will review the agreement and come back with it. Okay. Next item up is 9A, the port on-site tour request attached to the packet. There was a request from a member of the public to tour, and I think the response from Butch was when Mr. Gilbert was that he was looking for transportation. I also had a request from leadership NASA to visit the port, and I think they may be able to provide their own transportation. I know they have to provide information about the bus driver and all that. When I was a part of leadership NASA, we were able to tour the mills, we were able to tour, West Rock, a bit at a time with West Rock's operations, and I mean, a lot of times we didn't even get off the van off the bus because it was so hot and miserable. We really didn't want to get off the bus. So I know that there are restrictions, safety restrictions for you all at the port. So respecting that, is it possible to have those tours scheduled, and what can we do to help facilitate that?
Yeah, it's possible to have the tours likely be just the people touring will remain in the vehicle, and what we've done in the past is somebody from the port would basically get on the bus with them and take the tour around, and then they would drive out. We haven't gotten a response on the tour where they need transportation. So we can reach out again and see if they're still interested or if they're still available to do that.
And so leadership has, I think it was the Baptist that provided the bus.
They usually provide their own transportation.
So, yeah, I mean,
This is a special case.
It's changing every year.
Okay.
But they usually do have their transportation.
What I would be interested in helping with that.
Okay.
To help find transportation for them, special needs students. I mean, I think that's an important cause. And I think it helps with outreach and understanding the importance of it.
Yeah, I agree.
Leadership NASA does tour Jacksport every year, and they tour the submarine base. So, I mean, they get some pretty cool behind the scenes visits, but just historically, the port hasn't been part of that. And I always thought that was still because it's awesome. And seeing the cranes up close is super cool. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see, E9.
Just to close that, so will you reach out to them and to arrange? And I think between you arranging with them and communicating with me, we can pick a time and figure it out. Okay.
Awesome, thank you. So E911 addresses for the port property. I think this might have been, Rosanna, you were going to point on this, but we had a request from the city emergency response to have individual addresses.
It's actually from the fire chief, fire marshal, Higginbotham, and I spoke with him today, right before the meeting, and he just requests to be specific about the addresses of the port properties, because when an ambulance or a fire department is called, they will see the address, and it's not at that location. So they want a specific address. So I could put up the map of the port properties.
Do you need a vote?
No,
Okay.
they just
Change it
need
up.
confirmation, and if you want to change the address associated with each property, OHPA's property, they just need that.
Okay.
911 have to do that?
E911.
Yeah,
Emergency,
Yeah.
well,
they would have to identify the properties.
that's what they did. Let me put up the map. And
I think the concern is just that any of our addresses, the mail didn't get misrouted.
Somebody calls the warehouse on fire, one of which warehouse.
Okay. I thought it would be, yeah, I thought we already done.
Well, it worked. Anytime there was a call that we had an incident out there that we needed, rescue. The fire department always responded to the main security gate. And then we directed them to the location. It was fail-proof. I mean, there was never an issue where we had a fire truck or rescue just riding around looking.
So are we, they just want the board to confirm, are we okay with these addresses for each site, or each area of the board? Because as you can see, it's different address.
That's gonna be difficult because that means that every person out there would have to know what location they're in, what address. In order to get specific.
To make a call.
Yeah, that's gonna be very difficult. I mean, the main one, the 501 Court Street, that's the main office. And then you got, 315 Second Street.
This warehouse is and this warehouse is different. And
As your meeting review, Greg, and confirm that this works.
so they cut.
Yeah.
No, I know we've got a fire and rescue plan. So we need to reference that and, to see if this works or confirm it.
I can set up for a schedule a meeting between the court operator and Commissioner Nelson with, Deputy Fire Chief, Hayden Butler, and then we just go over the addresses.
Okay, yeah, let's do that, and then we can have the general manager report, there also to coordinate that.
Okay.
Okay.
Because those addresses would have to be posted. So, and then people would have to be told that you have an incident in that area, this is the address that you have.
Right. First responders have to know precisely where they need to see it. So they could be right.
How did we handle this before? It was, I think it would be warehouse numbers.
Typically, we have a fire and rescue plan, we just communicate that to, the fire department, police department, so they know that this designated area is responding to them this way. So that's just what the connection we make.
I understand, but.
Yeah, I mean, think about them out there before, and basically what we would do is if we had a warehouse incident, we told them specifically warehouse 3, warehouse 1, and warehouse 2, because they have that diagram in the engine. All their apparatus has that diagram, so if they got a call to the port, it was laid out like that, warehouse 1, warehouse 2, and they went like that. We can talk to them about that.
Yeah, I think we just connect our current plan with what they're seeking, and I think they would.
I don't know what this agenda is, anyway.
Yeah, I think they just want to update
Yeah.
information.
Yeah, we've done this before.
All right, the next item is independent special district legislation. We received some updates from the Board of Works Council. I attended their legislative lobbying meeting this past week. And some of the legislation that's going through committees could potentially have an impact on the Board of Fernandina as an independent special district. Some of the legislation would affect other boards who have ad valorem taxing power, but we do not have ad valorem taxing power in our charter, so that wouldn't impact us. But I believe the term that's what prospectively, but that's still moving through the committees.
That's the only part when I was there that would apply to us, term limits. And they don't start till the bill's passed in 20 years.
Okay, and then the Nassau County Development Presentation May 8th.
I just put it there because, Taco Pope would like to do his presentation at, the open meeting on May 8th.
Awesome. And it's gonna be about economic development or?
Correct. That presentation he did before, he will do that again.
Looking forward to it.
So the board, okay, the May 8th.
I think that would be great. I know, at one of the last meetings, Vice Chair Taylor spoke about doing a quarterly update to the county, to the city. I think that's a great idea. We need to think about who would want to do it, and we don't have to bring more. So that might be a good item. I don't know if anybody wanted to make a presentation for the county. I'd be happy to take one of those. Someone else want to take the other one? To try to get on the agenda of the city and the county,
To do what?
to give an update on what's going on in OHPA.
Oh,
So just like, Commissioner Cole, every month at the TPO meeting, he gives an update on the board, and it's short. That's a pretty short update, but this would probably be no more than, 5 minutes of just current developments of the board. Just so that we have an ongoing dialogue. I think that would be good. Do we have concurrence that, one of us would give a presentation at the city or a county commission meeting? Any preference on who would like to volunteer?
Well, and I think also maybe good to have, Representative Savage there as well, just to kind of have the operator along with, one of the board members, give us presentations too.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'd be happy to take either the county or the city and divide it up. If you want to take the other one.
You look at me.
I wouldn't mind moving down.
Yeah.
Well, don't we have somebody on the committee?
We have economic development. We have the chamber. So, I mean, I'm happy to take one of those presentations. I talk pretty regularly with the city commissioners, so I feel like that's a bit redundant, but I would take the county if someone else took the city or vice versa, if you have a preference.
And I'll do whatever.
Okay. All right, so you don't have a preference, you want me to just assign you? Okay. But why don't we flip it up since the vice chair has been a county commissioner before, and then you can be the city.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Case.
yeah,
And I will reach out to the county about speaking with them. And is there an issue with Commissioner Cole also attending? Do we need a notice of gathering if he, okay, let's do that because I think he wanted to attend as well. All right, and then the next item for is new development reports, commissioner reports and comments. Any new developments to report? I have an item, but if anybody else have any new developments. Nope. Okay, so I spoke with the mayor recently about some of the public art projects, and the city is working on funding through the Tourist Development Council to put murals on public buildings, but they're kind of running out of space on public buildings that belong to the city. And they've asked whether OHPA would consider any of the warehouses. I know anecdotally that the warehouse that faces, I think it's warehouse 3, that faces Wicked Bow, that some of the neighbors have been in favor of that, but I can't speak for all the neighbors. Having a mural there. I know some of the other warehouses face other residential streets. They have a whole process through this public art program to get buy-in from the community to figure out what they want to put on the, in that space.
We don't have a warehouse facing with the bow. We got at the back of a warehouse.
Right.
Yeah.
The side of it.
You want to do that?
Right, it's just a blank
The back.
beige wall.
Yeah. What do you think, right?
I'm listening. I'm listening.
So they are in the process of approving this. I can bring back additional information about the artists that they're looking at. We would have input, obviously, since it's our warehouse, as to theme. And we want buy-in from the community because they have to look at it every day, right?
City partnership,
Yes.
the mayor.
Yes, and this is, I think, a great opportunity for our city.
Well, we don't want flower.
No, we need
Shit, or-
better before. So I'm getting kind of a consensus that this is well received, so I will gather the information, I'll tell them that we are interested, potentially participating. It's always down to who's gonna pay for it and, maintenance and all that, right? So we have to figure that out, but apparently there's funding, which is good.
Just something to keep in mind is just materials used, if it causes excess maintenance, or if they're, able to stand up to the sun and, long life. Just, and, the safety when it's actually performed, just those, keep those things in mind as you move forward.
Okay, will do. Committee reports, port security, Commissioner Nelson.
For security, everything, in my, visits out there seems to be going quite well. One thing that I would like to mention in the category of port security is we are going to need in the very, very near future, and that's immediately, if not sooner, are going to have to work on a security office. When I was out there the other day, the office that is actually there is probably 4.5 by 5 office that these officers are expected to work out of. I noticed that the siding on this thing is in bad shape. To make a long story short,
I'm sorry, which officer is that?
we're talking about the security office, the little red and white building that sits there at the main gate.
Are you talking about
The
security?
building, yeah, the security is up there.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
We've got to do something with that. I would ask myself, and I mean, it's been there a long time, and I've fought this battle for 12 years. They seem to think that that's a non-essential function, but I can tell you, if you had to sit in there overnight, you would jump on the train to get a new one. So I'm going to ask the operator if we can meet.
We're already moving forward with a full replacement of that building.
Okay. Well, can you share with us what's, because I'm still getting the chat when I go out there, we gotta have something done with this building, so that's the reason I put it on my, report tonight.
Yeah, that's, we haven't communicated to them yet. We're still looking at options, but we're planning on moving forward. We think it'll be a nominal amount of money, it won't cost very much. So it's just full replacement.
Okay, I know that there's an issue with the rail, right away there. That's what I was always told. But you have the other side of that entrance to that gate that you can do something with. You could put a little bit bigger. I mean, if those folks had a 12 by 12, which would go in that area next to that little storage lot right there, would be perfect. There's barrier gates that they can still control. Those controls and powers can be moved underground over to the other side. I mean, I challenge the community to go by there, walk in, walk in, and you know what? Spend the night, sit in that office overnight and see how you like it. Because we need to do something for these folks. I was with U.S. Customs last week, and they paid the highest compliment to our security people out there. But all the security people that they deal with, they said the Port of Fernandina is by far the best because those people care about their jobs and they care about the port. So when you can invest in the people to take care of your assets, I think giving them a decent place to office is not asking a whole lot. So go by there and just visit them. I challenge commissioners to I just stop by. And you said you've done it, you've done it.
I'll do it all.
Mike, I don't know who's been there, who hasn't. Please go by and just talk to them. They're good people.
They are good people, they're great. Just as a warning, we're moving forward with a replacement in kind. If you would like something bigger or better, I would advise finding a way to pay for it and letting us know before we replace it.
Well, what are you talking about, bigger and better? I'm just talking
You
about
said 12 by 12.
walking down and around with it.
Yeah, you said 12 by 12, you want
I
to.
said you could put a 12 by 12.
Right, I'm saying if you decide that you want to, you gotta let us know and how to pay for it. Because we're moving forward with the replacement of that.
What's
long
the
as-
size moving forward?
It's like roughly 5 by 8. And we're saying current size, replacement in kind. But with something new, something refreshed, something, it's an out of the box solution. It's
I think
almost
the
off the shelf.
big enough there for two people to at least have a chair to sit down, because there's sometimes, that, you have two offices in that building. So let's give them, I mean, they got a refrigerator in there, they got a file cabinet in there, they got the shelving in there. I mean, you've been there, you know what I'm talking about. Two people in there, usually the second person is standing on the step out.
And find out,
Roughly, I didn't measure
let's take.
I think the one that's there is like 4.5 by 5. Now that's just me stepping it off, but I think it's 4.5 by 5.
So a replacement in kind doesn't need any foundation or civil work to go along with it.
That'll be a benefit too.
Right. So these are wish list items, but we're moving forward with a replacement in kind. If OPA decides they want something different, you need to give us notice and we need to find a way to pay for it. Yeah, the funds.
I think if you go by and look at it, we can all come to a consensus that we do need to get something better. You say you're moving forward with it, that's a big step. We just need to take care of these folks.
But where do we find the funds? That's basically what is the bottom line. He could go there, but he needs.
No,
And if he
I
does,
use that as an example for going on the other side where it's at now. I did mention that there is a railroad right of way that you have to stay within those parameters. You can't move, encroach on that rail line. So if he's got something that'll fit there, that's better than what they've got, that's fine.
So if there's any increase in the size in the scope of the
I would guess that it wouldn't change the
because it's a non-conforming structure or what?
no, it's just a change, the foundational change.
Do you want to report on it at the next meeting?
I can, yeah, I'll follow up.
Or I mean, we can request a report from Saturday, at the next meeting.
I mean, if you've got something planned, that's fine. But what I'm saying is, let's kind of focus on that as a priority, because I'm telling you, it's falling down. I mean, I went out there, cracks in the windows.
We agree, we saw the same thing. It's already been quoted. We're about to pull the trigger on it and go. I think that it'll be a good solution and it'll give them just a more comfortable place, but it'll fit on the same foundation. It'll be replacement in kind. I think that if we want to appreciate them and their work and their service, there are other ways that we can do it that they would also appreciate.
I'm just saying that came to me from U.S. Customs, and U.S. Customs is not known for commenting in favorable ways to people for doing their job. But he went out of his way to let me know that out of all the people that he deals with, he's actually in Jacksonville now, so he's right there at the port. He knows what he gets on that end versus what he gets in front of me, and he was very complimentary to the security folks.
And very good service.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll just get a report at the next meeting on the progress. We're not putting anything up. Okay. And then- yes.
I'm a little under the weather, you might probably have about 2 reports.
Go right ahead.
Have to vote on the rest of the way, so, economic development board, met yesterday over at, public utilities. We had a business retention, breakout on Portland, and we are in Portland. And the next one is going to be in Callahan, the 15th of February, at the Callahan Fire Station. And 2:15, I will be on the forum, and all of economic development work are over at Rural County Days, starting today at the in Tallahassee, and they'll be there through tomorrow. That's the report from them. And on emergency management, the only thing we had was a severe weather warning we had 2 weeks ago, and they kind of blew over, which is a blessing. But then that was ready to talk to him and make communication with the
you could see, and they want them there, they didn't require.
Why did they cancel school? Why did they cancel school?
Because they would have been getting on the buses right as the prediction of that storm coming through.
Well, 2 days,
No, it wasn't for 2 days.
Friday, what, Friday?
No, that was one day. Yeah, one day, and we did it for 1 day, and, I mean, they were predicting high winds. And I think it's better safe than sorry, what could have happened if, bad windstorm had come through, we had a, E1 touchdown in, St. Augustine or St. Augustine, one in, the south of Clay County, and of course, if one had touched down here, we could have. There was a county where a school bus actually flew over on its side.
Yep.
And, you know, a lot of people don't know that there's special needs kids that ride those buses every day. And to have one of them get in, whether it's a traffic accident, is disastrous for those kids. So I think they made the right decision. I'm really apologize.
Your excuse. Okay, so we have, FDOT, Commissioner Nelson. Did you have a report on FDOT or?
Yeah.
Commissioner Nelson?
Yeah, on the port facilities, based on the report that I got, everything is operational. I'll even go ahead and then mention the equipment. The only issue that was noted was crane number 9, the storm brakes are having to, have some attention paid to them right now. Crane number 10, is operating, with no issues at the time of this report. Oval Harbor, there's been a lot of the hydraulic hoses that are placed on it. There are still some hydraulic lines that are in need of replacement, so that will be coming in due time. So, the crane is still operational at this time. The truck, there's 6 of them that's the white ones. If you're ever out there, that's the ones I'm talking about. All of them are operational. There's only a few minor issues that pop up during, you know, the day, that the maintenance department takes care of. Then we go into the rail dock canopy, which we are past the 1 year mark on that being damaged. If I'm not mistaken, that happened in January, I think it's 22nd or 23rd of 2022. And we still don't have anything on that. Warehouse 3 was, I'll revert back to the operator's comments on it about the difficulty to find a contractor. So
What was the item you said was damaged a year ago?
the rail canopy,
So,
the rail dock.
yeah, the earlier in the meeting I stated that the work would start early February and be done by the end of February.
Okay, well, that's the reason I said, let's go to clarity. I will give them the March and you clarify that. Okay, so that's fair, but it has already been used. If you're gonna start next month, it has to be the 22nd or the 23rd. And I can pull photos up on it, it's got the date on it. My point is this, you're saying that it's been updated. I was told it was gonna be worse starting in February. So, or actually in March. You said it's February. Yeah. It's February.
So Customs House, we've heard from,
Yeah, I think we did a pretty good report about the Customs House. The only thing is now that we've got them on board, so we can come up with an agreement, get them to get on board with it, they're gonna go out and look at the site and figure out the best location and what kind of building we need, how much, you know, they'll determine how much construction we need to do, whether it be in the Customs House or the building behind it or new property beside it, so.
Okay, so it's those 3 options that they're.
Assessing,
Yeah. Just as a note regarding that, we have, do you remember Joel Dimick?
Yeah.
he's been assigned now to work with you on that project.
Okay.
To represent the operator.
Okay,
And he's got time and focus and an excellent project manager, very good to work with. And we thought that we could use him to help coordinate, push this forward, lean on his construction expertise. I gave him an update yesterday and just on where this was and 3 options.
Yeah.
And so he's got some questions and he's gonna reach out to you.
okay, good.
Okay.
Is he on site? I mean, is he here in town?
Not currently. He's based out of Salt Lake City.
Okay.
But he'll,
Call,
like I do, he'll travel. Yeah, he'll give you a call.
all right, good.
So you said something about the options. I did look back and we approved it to be more flexible. So if they come up with an alternative, they have the flexibility to go beyond just those the options that were in the RFQ.
Okay, great. That's perfect because Joel had some ideas. And so just alternatives. So he can bring those to you.
Okay,
We've been looking for OHPA office space for 15 years, 20 years, no, 80s and 80s. If you go back to meeting minutes that Commissioner Ross has requested and then Rosanna supplied, this board was talking about meeting space for OHPA back then. We are still renting space. So that was the original master plan discussion, was that OHPA would potentially have a meeting space in any building. Right, and some of those.
Type this office.
Yeah.
Well, so
It-
this is, the original discussion was that it was a multi-purpose building. Part of that was potentially a cruise facility, right? And so when the board rejected and the community rejected the concept of cruise at the Port of Fernandina, the operator said it's not compatible with operations. What we come back to is the customs house. But if there was a solution that provided an office space, that would offset OHPA's, right now we pay every month for rent. For offices.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
If
so-
if customs and port that you moved out of the federal house,
Right.
it would open it up for OPA to move into that.
Potentially.
Okay, might make a little work and we can do it.
Because one of the options that we put out that I think is still, and Joel thinks is still viable, is moving them into the port, using that warehouse and finishing it, making the modifications required.
Right, behind the customs
Yeah,
house, yeah.
yeah. And so if that's the
I
case,
think that can make it. Okay.
yeah, it might.
And that'll open up that one
Yeah.
building, okay.
So this meeting, is it gonna include customs? With Siskovich and,
No,
No, this will be an update just to get Joel up to speed and have him communicate his ideas with Mr. Fuller.
and have them look at the site and recommend to us the best site along with Joel and we'll come back and let you know.
has Customs and Border Patrol given us a single point of contact for the process? Or no, is it just Jennifer Bradshaw?
Yeah, that's what I'm-
So,
and
Steve Harris.
Steve Perry. But Steve's not even here right now.
He
okay,
might be back now.
Could be.
2 to 3 months.
Could
just keep us updated.
Absolutely.
Good as to what's.
That's what Joel's really good at that. So then after that meeting, I expect Joel, Mr. Fuller would go and reach out to Jennifer Bradshaw.
Yes.
Army Corps?
Well,
I saw you had a visitor from the Army Corps earlier.
oh, yes, absolutely. She was, actually talking about something that, some people have been asking me about when they're gonna do. Move the channel. And I've got a phone call in what's his name of the question? With Corps of Engineers. He's supposed to call on that tomorrow. Talk about that. That's all for Corps of Engineers right now.
Okay. So I attended the TPO meeting last month. They didn't have a meeting in January. They will have a February meeting. And the TPO is really just a great aggregator of information and funds. And one of the programs they have is it's clean fuels, which is not just electrification. It's all sorts of alternative fuels for fleet uh, I guess, refurbishing or converting fleets from existing fossil fuels to potentially natural gas, or in some cases, electrification. But one of the projects I want to highlight for you guys was with Smart in Florida, which is another incubated program with TPO that identifies technological solutions to like real world transportation problems. If I could kind of summarize it. But they had an issue with at 301 and I-10 with trucks queuing. They just observed this anecdotally. They have existing towers that towers are, what's the right word? Poles that were JEA poles. And they said, well, we have these cameras over here in this warehouse. We have these existing poles. Let's just put these cameras on the poles and watch and see what we see. And over a 2-month period, they observed 94 trucks per day on average. Over 5,000 parked trucks were counted. Many of them were overnight from 6 to midnight. They also identified 8% of these vehicles as being commuter cars. Average duration of parking was 1 hour or less. And most of the trucks were trucks with cabs. So they're getting, this is 301 and I-10. So they observed an anecdotal problem. They didn't really know what was causing the problem, but they put the cameras in place and they were able to use AI to evaluate, to study the data, analyze it, and come up with this information. And they did it with a 2-month period with very little funding.
Where are they parking?
They're parking on the shoulder road.
Yeah. Really?
They're parking on the shoulder road. So, so basically, the upshot of this is that it was kind of a, an observed issue that they didn't really understand, and now they have some real data that they can, take next steps. Why do they have 8% cars parking on the shoulder, right? Like maybe it's just they see the trucks, so they think they can park. But when we have problems at the port, when we see problems, in our counties, Nassau County grows, these resources are available to us, and OHPA is one of 2 seats for Nassau County on the TPO. And it is our job, I'm now in that seat, but it is our job as, sitting on the different boards and commissions to be advocates, to share information, to, convene our respective staff, but also to share that information with other boards, because there may not be a direct impact on OHPA, but, we don't have but the port does have vehicles, right? And we don't have, a direct impact on schools or on other traffic management, but it is our job as sitting on that board to bring that information to the county and to, other members of our community that can use it. So I take that really seriously. I'll try to provide more meaningful reports here, and I will make a meaningful report to the commissioners. But they do also have a seat. Cliff Farmer is currently in that seat. I don't know if that will change. Yep.
I'm on the board of Smart in Florida, so I'm confident about the board.
Very cool.
So if you need help coming in.
Yeah, and you're welcome to come to a TPO board meeting. They're really, you get an update from all of the other respective boards, including the Jack's board gives a meaningful update. If you guys want to give that update, I have a summary of it, but it's 8:15, so I assume you don't want me to keep talking.
No.
But in future meetings, I will be happy to provide a bit more detail on that. Next up is Chamber of Commerce.
All right, so I don't want to assume, but I think maybe you may receive the Nassau County Economic Indicator dashboard that the chamber sends out. And it's a great tool to look to see, the employment and wage trends, new businesses, they even cover, of course, tourism and of course, the ports. And so just want to draw attention to that. And if you don't get it, try to get it. It's a great email that goes out. Also, the chamber has their annual awards day coming up February 29th. So we have a lot of fun, recognizing businesses and people in communities. So everyone can attend that. Jumping down to the City of Virginia Beach, so it looks like I'll be meeting with them, getting a presentation set up. But as everyone knows, as we kind of go into this new year, seeing all over the place, Bernardina, along with Nassau County, are celebrating their bicentennial. It's been 200 years. The county recently kicked off a bicentennial event a couple of weeks ago. I'm not sure who all made it. I know Joey Roberts was there. I did, I think I saw it. It was a long day, it was cold, but it was a great way to get a lot of people out, and kind of launch the Vision 2050 plan that the county is doing. So we're taking a lot of feedback and, from the citizens, from community leaders, from everyone on how they will see the county moving forward. It's very similar to when they did the Vision 2032. This is, now looking ahead. So I encourage everyone, if you have not already, go to nassau.fl2050.com and submit your feedback, because it is our responsibility to help shape our future. And coming up, I know that the city and the county are partnering for the opening of beaches and other big bicentennial event coming up in May. And I do not have a keep Nassau beautiful reports, but that's all.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
Commissioner Taylor did not mention that he's one of the nominees for the chamber.
Oh, for Businessman of the Year.
Yeah,
For the chamber, congratulations. I hope we get it when we find out.
February 29th.
Okay. Awesome. So is anybody else planning to go to the February 29th gala? No? Okay. I mean, as members, any of us, or we can get tickets to attend. Any community outreach items?
Yes.
Yeah.
Road between, from the end of the bridge to the red light there, Nassauville Road. I have heard more complaints about that, but who do we talk to get a jump on that? I know it's on the schedule to be paid 5 years from now. We can't wait 5 years. Anything that the Port Authority could do, write a letter to FDOT or whoever is in charge of paving that road and encourage them to get that done, because it is beyond, it's terrible.
For resurfacing.
Yeah, resurface.
Greg Evans would be the,
Greg Evans.
he's the district.
There are so many people complaining about that thing. They're gonna resurface it, but it's like 5 years down the road. We can't wait that long.
Secretary Evans.
Secretary, yeah. Okay, that's all
Well,
right.
so just to respond to that, from what I understand, a lot of funding contractors have been drawn to South Florida projects, infrastructure projects, that have been reprioritized, passenger rail projects. And so when we were putting things out to bid, where we used to get 5 responses, we get 1 or none. And so the timelines have all been pushed out 5 years. And other transportation planning organizations throughout the state haven't quite figured it out yet. They're starting to figure that out, and they're starting to get angry, and they're starting to fight amongst themselves. North Florida TPO has a really great track record of working together within the respective counties and boards. And we have excellent staff, and they are trying to get as many projects shovel ready, so that while other TPOs are kind of fighting and trying to figure out how to go to Tallahassee and fight, that we can just prepare so that we're ready to seize funding when it's available. So I think that's a good strategy.
When you're talking about less than 2 miles per day. It's me terrible.
Yeah, it's in the, I know it's in the queue. I don't remember off the top of my head the timelines. I think pretty sure it's in here in this report. These are the construction status reports. And existing projects and projects that are in the pipeline.
Right.
So I'll leave this with you, and I'll help you find the correct project number, so that you'll be able to reference that if you wanted to reach out to the Secretary of.
I certainly do.
Okay, any the administrative office manager report, Rosanna, did you have anything?
before I start that, Commissioner Nelson, did you
Yeah.
want to do your FDOT?
Waiting for a minute to
Okay,
come back in there on the FDOT. We did have that meeting with Al Kaufman. Roseanne was there and Peter. He really brought things into focus on grants. They're in your packet. There's 7 of them that, in some way, fashion, or form, they need to be addressed, and Kyle's gonna help us work through this stuff. If you'll just look at it, it shows you what the grant was for, what's been expended, and what's still remaining. The notes at the bottom, we discussed some of this stuff hasn't had any movement on it. And one thing that I did gain from him, because I'm the new commissioner on this, is they frown upon getting a grant and not doing anything with it, because you're taking monies and,
Previous operators were very good about
yeah, and it's just sitting. Some of the stuff is 4 years old. So, we are gonna have a meeting again in February. Hopefully we'll have some of this cleaned up. He did point out, because the question came up at the end date, like on this one is 11/30/2024. Whatever you do up to that date is where the work has to stop. Now, any billing or invoicing or anything extends out 120 days beyond that. Okay, so, you know, if you're working on something that comes right down to the door closing, we still have that 120 days, of leeway there to get everything filed, get the paperwork, and if you look there, you'll see the one for the master plan is, I think, what Pierre was alluding to on the procedures they want something on that showing how we handle our business. But that one should be closing out. Pierre, you or, Rosanna, want to comment on any of that?
They needed a copy of the master plan.
No, I think he was just talking about the procedures and how we handle it. Am I correct in saying that here?
Says and finally,
I think that's the one we were telling him is closed out, and we were worried about the end date, and he said, well, you got 120 days out beyond that end date.
The master plan closed.
Okay.
So, yeah, so they needed,
It's still on here, and you put it on there, I guess, showing us that the,
well, because it's not, it's still open, and so obviously there were steps that you can take it to officially close. So it's 633 dollars, which we're not going to spend.
yeah,
For that plan, but there are steps that need to be taken to actually close the project for them. And they, whether it be copies, documents, whether it be whatever, Rosanna got sent.
this says compliance documents and final approved master plan.
Yeah,
yeah.
each project may be different. To close, so. So that was being closed as of that, you know, I expected the next meeting to close.
well, I did forward 2 forms to Chairwoman Hill and, Mr. Kuchowski to sign the CCNA, and I will resend those to you. I need your signatures.
Is that the one you said you'd bring if we didn't sign it? You said print it and scan it?
And sign it, you could deliver it to me or via email.
But obviously, each of the projects has different, obviously, the port operator working with on closing the crane project. On the North Carolina crane, it's the $5 million project. Obviously, there's still about $110,000 worth, so they're looking at, if they have any spares or other equipment, qualified to spend the rest of that money. So each one of them said monitoring, trying to figure out if there's ways both to spend the money and to close it.
And it's definitely, sorry.
I've just heard they said it's better to give it back if you're not going to spend it, because as Commissioner Nelson said, they're basically holding funds from someone else will use it.
There's, regarding cranes, there's definitely a need for capital spares.
They listed that earlier, they $10,000 on that,
Yeah.
so he's going to go back. I think it closes in April of this year, so we can purchase those and essentially finalize the project.
Okay.
I think
Do you have a copy of the summary on these grants that it would help you?
I mean, I have this,
Okay,
but we also have the communication from the meeting. And that's the summary you're talking about.
yeah, Kyle Kaufman, I mean,
Yeah,
that guy
yeah.
is excellent. I
Yeah.
mean, you could call him and he's got all this in tape.
That's a really good topic.
Yeah. We do have.
There's 2 or 3 sets.
Well, yeah, the new commercial person is there, Matt is there, and Kyle, he's very open. It was very enlightening to me. This guy knows his stuff. And he is very, very open to helping. If you got a question, call him. He'll tell you what's up. So,
He'll also tell you any grant that's given back is gonna restrict us from getting grants. in the future.
absolutely, he said that. He said they round real bad, so be careful. We got 7 that we're dealing with right now, so.
Well, and because there's been a change in operations, it's not a bad time to go back through and do
Yeah,
it instead
I
of.
mean, if you look at the dates on some of them, it speaks for itself. And I mean, there's some of this, no activity, 2 years, no invoicing activity, those are the ones concerned.
Yeah.
And you still see a large sum of money sitting there,
So
so.
it's also obviously just, you can go back and just repurpose or, can this, can a warehouse fit under this particular grant under these definitions? So obviously the grants we've gotten were applied for a particular purpose. That purpose may not come to be, but I think North Carolina Cranes did under an existing grant, all that kind of stuff. So again, it's just understanding, obviously, the port operator needs to work with us so that we understand what grants are available, what we need, and then obviously spend the money.
Yeah, we're no strangers to spending money, so.
You want to
I
get?
have I have a question. Can we use one of the grants for the security office there at the gate?
Good question.
And
We can look at it and see, yeah.
it's
And this
there.
is why I say, if there's any question, we'll pick up the phone and call him. He's gonna tell you straight up, no, it won't work in that one, but yeah, you can go ahead and send it to us. We'll see what happens.
And maybe, so obviously, you probably use it for the roofs and stuff like that, because it was repairs and maintenance. So the grants are not meant for that, but obviously something that you're gonna expand, if you're just gonna replace it and repair it, probably not. If you're gonna.
You're gonna move up to the next size, that's right. I mean, that's why I say I would call him and absolutely ask him the questions.
Thank you. Good question. Do you want to give a report or just?
Well,
Agenda.
you guys have a copy of my report, but in addition, I want to report that I just delivered the thank you gift to Fernandina Beach Fire Department to Jason Higginbotham as a thank you for assisting us with the projector, and he was always happy to help me. So, and the board gave me approval of $50, but I just bought like a pound of chocolates for $30 at Fantastic Fudge. So that's what I did. And then my husband and I put a conference table in our office because for use of shade meetings, because I can't move these tables by myself. So there's one on loan for OHPA in our office, and this table too is on loan. I would like to get board consent to accompany Chairwoman Hill to Tallahassee. So I don't know if you were gonna bring that
Yeah,
up.
sorry. Yeah, so the Florida Courts Council meeting is typically 2 nights. But if we carpool together, we can go over and back in 1 night, so it doesn't add any additional cost. We're just gonna take my car. So I just wanted to let you all know that I've extended that to Rosanna to attend with me. If we're gonna rotate attending the Florida Courts Council meetings between the board and Rosanna is the common denominator, I thought that would be good. There should be consistency with the face of the Boys Rugby.
Not only that, but there's safety in numbers.
Will drive safely. So,
So we have,
if there's no objection, thanks for coming.
all right, we do have board consensus on that.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And then lastly, I want to thank Commissioner Nelson for taking me on the port tour. That was very educational. He knows that port like upside down and right side up. And that was very informative. So thank you so much.
Well,
That's
thank
it.
you, Rosanna, for all your reports recently and for keeping on top of communications. I know that since David is gone, it's a lot more work for you. And you've made the transition not so painful for the board because you're making sure that items are followed up on. You're a great common denominator. So thank you for your hard work.
I still have to check on the resiliency plan. I don't know what's going on with that.
We'll put it on the agenda for next meeting. Any other items to be brought by commissioners? All right, this meeting is adjourned.
Up with the tables and chairs, please.